Entrepreneur life requires risk, persistence, and a slightly unreasonable belief that this thing you're building is going to work.
And let's not forget copious amounts of caffeine.
Yes, that too.
Hey guys, I'm Allison, the Caffeinated entrepreneur, an AI-powered business strategist and systems builder with an energy level that should probably come with a warning label.
And I'm Bernie, the man behind the mustache. I'm a virtual events producer who makes sure the tech works, the delivery is clean, and nobody panics, including Allison.
Each week, we are picking up the conversation where my weekly newsletter leaves off. No teaching, no pretending we have it all figured out.
Just two entrepreneurs talking honestly about the highs and lows of growing our own businesses.
And why some ideas are worth sipping on a little bit longer. Welcome to the Caffeinated Entrepreneur. Let's go behind the brew. Hey guys, grab your favorite caffeinated beverage and join us for today's episode. We're going behind the brew of issue number 43, Why Your Word of the Year is Lying to You. Hey, Bernie, how are you feeling today?
Well, Allison, I'm doing fantastic. How are you today?
Excellent, because I have Dutch Bros in my hand and I'm sporting the new glasses with the new, now black frames, hot pink covers to come. But stepping right into the branding that we referred to 2 episodes ago.
Yep.
Very excited.
Yep. Leaning into it, girl. Do it.
Though I will say, if you look on my cup, you'll see that there's a big smudge of the coffee on the side. Can we just talk about the roads in Texas under construction? They've got one of the, it's like one of these transitions from one side kind of pavement to the next, but then they don't take into account that my car is so freaking low to the ground that it scrapes. And of course, I hit the bump and then the coffee came flying out of the top. And I was like, oh. So I know what mug you're drinking out of, and you're not allowed to tell anybody because this is a PG show, my friends. But Bernie's going to show the screen. So if you're watching this on LinkedIn or YouTube, you can read it. I will tell you, it has a picture of Ronald McDonald on it and some words, but I'm not going to say anything.
This is one of my favorite cups. It makes me laugh every time I break it out.
I'm sure it does. Oh my gosh, so much fun. All right, guys. So today we are talking about the word of the year, but we're not actually talking about what the newsletter talked about. So if you read that issue, or if you go back and read issue 43, I wrote that back in January, when everybody was doing their whole word of the year thing. And I talked about how a word is useless without actions behind it. Right? So that's what the core of that newsletter was. Now, because this is going behind the brew of said newsletter, we're not going to rehash that. What I want to talk about today is how I completely abandoned my word of the year almost immediately. And what the heck? I wrote a whole newsletter about the importance of doing the thing. And then I abandoned ship on it. And so I had a clarity moment. And in the last 10 days, I've refocused. So my word of the year, probably you're all like, what was it, Allison? It was focus. And the drive behind it was that I wanted to double down on what had been working for me in 2025. So as I've told this many times, Bernie and I were doing events in 2025, and it was the main driver of my business. It was bringing in all the clients. It was broadening my audience. It was amazing. And I thought, okay, 2026, baby, we are drilling down. We're going from quarterly to monthly. And maybe even, 2 a month. I don't know if that's bi-monthly or bi-weekly. I never quite understand what that is.
Bi-weekly is every 2 weeks, I believe. Yeah.
But it's not like bi-daily is every 2 times a week. What would that be? The whole other conversation.
Yeah. Let's not go down that rabbit hole, Allison.
Focus, right? But the point is that I literally, upon making that declaration, got invited to be part of multiple committees, groups, councils, collaboration opportunities, networking events. And it was as if my word of the year was wait, don't forget about me. And I completely did. And there was no focus. And it was chasing this opportunity. And I want to clarify, these were not negatives to my business. Nothing that I pursued in the months following my word of the year declaration were negative, but they were totally distractions from what I wanted to focus on for 2026. And so today, I am not the only one who does this.
You are not.
So
Every single person who makes a New Year's resolution and then abandons it is in the same boat.
But I think the difference is that this wasn't like, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to go to the gym. This wasn't like a conscious decision to not do the thing. It was a genuine accidental distraction. And so I kind of want to talk about that today, like accidentally getting off track.
Yeah, I mean, like the shiny object syndrome is real, but that's not all that different from abandoning an exercise routine that you connect to, at New Year. Like people always have good intentions. It's just another wrapper, right? The word of the year as opposed to New Year's resolution. What I thought was kind of interesting, Alice, and we talked about this a little bit in the pre-show, is perhaps the word may not have been the right focus point, right? You selected focus as the word, but you did focus throughout that time, just not necessarily on the thing that you said you wanted to focus on, right? So maybe it's more a matter of choosing the right word. Like for me, this year was my first year choosing a word of the year. I had always done New Year's resolutions and goals and, to varied degrees of success. But this year I chose to do a word and my word was 12. And I chose the word 12 because I wanted to bring on 12 new clients that are doing recurring monthly events throughout the course of the year. If I do that, it leads to the goal of revenue, right?
Mm-hmm.
The revenue target that I have. So for me, the word and the goal had to all kind of align what I wanted to accomplish. So I think you just chose the wrong word in there, but shiny object syndrome is absolutely real because you saw all of those as potential opportunities to grow your business.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, okay, that leads beautifully. It's as if he's got notes, guys. That leads us beautifully into the question of how do you determine if an opportunity is a true distraction or if it's something that you should pursue. And I say this, guys, and that yes, we have a note with that question. However, I have no bullet point checklist. Like there's no like it should meet this criteria. Like this is literally open conversation because for me, the only way I can determine if it was truly a great opportunity or if it was a distraction is in hindsight. Like I have to look back and say that paid off and it was great, or that didn't pay off. And so it was a distraction that, was camouflaged. I don't know. If you have wisdom here, I want to hear it.
Well, I mean, for me, I think you do have to test the waters in some cases, right? Like if you don't have any data to make a determination from, you have to try to do the thing and see what happens. Now you have some data.
Yeah.
So, you can look at future potential collaborations now and say, does this look like that? Does that smell like that? Does it sound like the waste of time before? Or does it look, smell, sound more like the duck that I'm hoping it is, and it is actual business and work? But yeah, you're absolutely right. Like you can't determine that, how the dots connect, as Steve Jobs would say. Looking forward, you can only see it looking back. How did it actually play out?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think some of the things that I'm trying to do, and in the last 2 weeks, I have removed myself from 2 situations intentionally. And then Bernie and I had something kind of fall apart. But I'm noticing a pattern that of the things that didn't work out the way I thought they were going to, that I'm like, okay, if I see that, I need to remove myself. And for me, collaborative opportunities where what I bring to the table is not matched by what the other person is bringing to the table.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, they bring something, they do. It could be an audience, it could be expertise, it could be wisdom, but this is the question I've started having to ask myself. And it's going to sound conceited, y'all, but it's not. It's just, if I had this idea on my own, could I pull it off at least an 80% efficiency, effectiveness, whatever? And if I could, this collaboration probably isn't worth it. And I say that because I'm the kid in the group project that does all the work and then everyone else gets the A. I've always been that person.
Mhm.
And like I said, it's not meant to be conceited in any way, but there are opportunities where I'm like, do I absolutely have to have this person?
Right.
Nope.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, I definitely ran into a lot of that as well. And I still like to collaborate with people, but you're right. You have to kind of look at it as what do you expect the value to be out of it versus the lift, right? Like,
yeah.
what's
Yeah.
is the juice worth the squeeze at the end of the day? Um,
That's
but
great.
what I like to look at, honestly, Allison, is if somebody wants to collaborate with me, is it possible for me to bring them in on something I'm already doing? Right. Like I do my monthly master class. I haven't done it in a couple of months because I've done some collaborative things. But my intention has always been if I meet somebody really cool and we don't have an idea that's like blow up together, how can I include them in something that I'm already doing? They're still going to get value. We're still going to mix audiences a little bit. The lift isn't much different than what I'd already be doing.
Mm.
Cool. Like then that's a nice tester. And I'm not putting myself out in a way that I might be resentful or feel like I don't want to do this stuff
Okay.
anymore.
But here's the next question though, because if it's not changing your lift, if it's not lightening your lift and they're coming in, are you worried that I mean, I know that it's like abundance mindset and there's enough to go around for everybody. But the fact is that in the messy middle where we are still trying to build consistent revenue in our businesses, we're trying to get the 12 clients, right? Does bringing someone else into something you're already doing run the risk of you missing out on a client or a revenue because now people are choosing between you and another option? I think
Hmm.
that's really I'm just like that's kind of the line that I am trying really hard to not cross.
Yeah.
Where if I do this, am I giving someone else the opportunity to basically poach my business? Not in a vindictive way, certainly,
Sure.
but just really, just honestly, because there's only so much money to go around at any given time. And we're all we can all help the business owner. It's just in a different
Sure.
way. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Well, I mean, it definitely this is hard for me to articulate. You can't be of both a lacking mindset and an abundance mindset at the same time. It is impossible. So if you are going to go into a collaboration, you have to understand that there is potential that the people that you invite for your own benefit may resonate more with the other person.
Yeah.
That's just something that you have to accept when you're collaborating with them. What you really have to ask yourself, I think, what I ask myself is, is this somebody that I see a truly an ongoing relationship happening with,
Yeah.
right? If that's not the case, if we're not actually going to be collaborating beyond this one thing, and I just
Mhm.
don't see it, like why am I even going to do the collaboration in the first place?
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah.
not I'm not going to I'm likely not going to do a collaboration with somebody after the first time I've met them, the second time, the third time. Like it's probably going to be like the fifth or sixth time that I've met them. We're like, okay, cool, yeah, we have this really cool thing that we both talk about that is
Mhm.
beneficial to both our audiences. I feel like I could have a beer with you after we're done doing like cool. Let's do that collaboration.
Yes. Okay. Y'all, I'm getting schooled. I'm like, I'm not recording this in Notion right now for the transcript. I should be. Dang it. But that's really okay. So to your point, because other than you, all of the other collaboration opportunities have been with people that I just met, or even if I met them more than once, there's still no relationship there. It's very much acquaintance. And I think that is where that, again, not resentment because they're vindictive in any way, but that fear has been coming up for me. So anyway, that was a really good. Okay, so the next time I tell you that I have a really good idea, Birdie, and I want to collaborate with someone, I want you to be like, how often have you met them? Like, let's go. Okay. So now here's the next thing of that, because this is all going to be about me today.
That's fine, apparently.
Let's just have Allison go through the ringer. So when you've gotten distracted and you're like, okay, you established it's a distraction. This is not good. I got to stop. But you've made a commitment.
Mm.
How do you feel when you have to turn around and then break that off, and how do you go about doing it?
Yeah, that is such a tough question. I mean, there have certainly been instances where I have made a commitment and then regretted said commitment and still obviously had to kind of follow through with it. Or I felt like I had to, and I did in many cases. Um, I think you have to just be honest with the other person and say, I don't think that this is going to work for my business right now. But I'll be honest with you, most of the time, I will follow through if I have committed to it. But that's why I also now I'm like, I'm gonna wait until I've met with this person
Mhm.
several times. We've had like some deep conversations. I feel like I know and understand them. I know what their level of commitment and participation is going to be. And I think, another thing, and even you and I didn't do a great job of this. You did it more so in Notion because you planned most of it, but is just being very clear about what the expectations are, right? Like
Yeah.
this is what I see your value is and what you are bringing to the table and what I think needs to be done by you for this to work. Are
Right.
you committed to doing that?
Yeah. And you make such a good point, because even with our business relationship and how much we've worked together with our webinar in a week, which unfortunately everybody we ended up having to cancel, and that's just what happens, right? But we didn't actually set any expectations. We planned the whole thing out, and we made another big mistake, guys. We didn't test the audience to see if
Yep.
the audience actually wanted it. And this is one of those, like, Allison was DMing Bernie with the voice message, right? So I'm not putting this one on Bernie. Once again, Allison got distracted.
For the
Uh,
record, I still think it's a good idea, but we've got to dial it in.
we do have to dial it in, and we got to get some soft commitments from people before we
Yes,
go full
yes,
full
yes,
in.
yes.
But that being said, we never sat down and said, this is the expectations for lead gen. We did talk about revenue split. We did talk about that.
Of course, yeah.
we just didn't we just didn't have any revenue to split. It's really the same down too. So, all right. So here's y'all, for what I did very much in the moment, like I keep saying, in the last couple of weeks. Um, one of the opportunities I had was with a fabulous person that I met at a live in-person networking event. She is another Notion lover, obsessed geek or whatever. And in the moment, it was like, oh my gosh, we should teach Notion together. And then we booked a call to talk about it. And I mean, I was excited on the call. That without a doubt, I was like, this is going to be awesome. I hung up the call, and then I was like, and here's how I knew it was a bad idea right off the bat. Because then I was like, I have to tell my business coach about this idea. And I already know what she's going to say, which is, Allison, your goal for 2026 was to make your program the primary signature offer. Is this helping you book your program clients, or is this distracting you? Like, I already knew what she was going to say.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, I hate it when I have to coach myself, because I already know what my coach is going to say. And then I spent the weekend trying to justify that it was still a good idea and I should still go through with it. Um, and then this person emailed me, and if she was still super excited, and I was like, I just knew, like, I had that feeling in my gut,
Mhm.
and I just had to be like, I can't move forward. This is not in line with the direction I'm heading to my business. So I had made a major commitment with her at that point, but I still felt terrible. Like, I felt awful.
Well, you
Um,
had a good connection with her, right? And I think
yes.
that's usually what happens is like you jump on a call and all of a sudden you're both nerding out on whatever the thing is. You're like, cool, this person's awesome. I can't wait. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
let's do
Yeah.
this thing. Like exactly like you and I have done several times, right? Like, but then you really look at it and you put it through the filters
Mhm.
of what you're trying to accomplish in your business and what your goals are and your year word of the year and conversations that you know you're going to have afterwards. Like that puts it in context. That tells you, is this actually the thing that's moving it forward? And one thing I want to point out is if your gut is telling that, I think that is something that we often don't trust enough. If you
Yeah.
get that feeling in your stomach immediately after making the commitment, regardless of what the thought is up here, your gut's
Mhm.
telling you something.
Exactly. And you got to listen before you get to, but, and I can say that I did that because I didn't do that with
Right.
another group that I was invited to be a part. A bunch of brilliant people who love AI, geek out on AI, know all the things about AI. But there was a very much a lack of direction and understanding about why we were forming the group. And so I stayed in it, even though I was like, I don't really know where this is going. And it's kind of sucking up some of my time, but like, I'm going to give it a shot because I know these people and they're cool people, they're smart people. But then as things finally started to gain traction and progress, that was when I was like, I'm not sure that the group is bringing anything to the table
Mhm.
that I'm not already at the table feasting on myself. And so in that case in particular, I was like, I really feel like this is detracting from my business. It's not even just that it's, different from the Notion thing, which was a distraction. This other opportunity would actually remove business from my plate, or at least opportunity for business. And I had already committed, and I had to back out. And that was even more hard because I was like, I already committed. I'm kind of spearheading a bunch of things, but I'll tell you what, that was the other reason I was like, I got to get out. I did not sign up to spearhead this. And yet, because I'm already doing so many of the things they want to do, I just naturally became the leader. And this was one of those moments where my husband from the beginning was like, don't do it. I'm telling you. I was like, babe, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. And then I lost I literally didn't sleep an entire night after, one of the calls. And I was like, this is it. I got to get out. And I did the next day. I said, you know what? They were gracious. Nobody was mad at me. Nobody was throwing tomatoes at my face, like, because everyone's growing a business here. And I
Yep.
think that's part of what I think we need to realize is that when we've made commitments that we do have to back out on, most of the time, unless there's money involved and someone feels wronged, people are understanding of the fact that we all overcommit.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have to back out.
Yeah. Most people are pretty gracious, I think, about it. Very forgiving, right? Because we all live lives, we all have, stuff going on, et cetera, et cetera. But again, Allison, I think it's important to know that, or at least think about, you should not pass up on the opportunities to collaborate. You should explore them and test the waters, because if you don't, you may miss out on opportunities.
Yeah.
But you have to be really conscious of how you are spending your time and put it through the filters as you are going through that process.
Yeah.
Because if you wait so far till you get down, till you get too far down the line, that's when the resentment starts to come in. That's when you're like, oh, what happened?
So you know what I'm going to do now? I'm going to create a custom GPT
Of course you
that's going to be called the collaboration coach. That's going to help me decide if a collaboration opportunity
are.
is worth it. That's what's coming next.
Of course, of course.
Absolutely. So stay tuned for the AI Dream Team collaboration coach, because it'll be there soon. All right. So to kind of circle back to the whole word of the year thing, right? If you abandon ship on whatever that thing was that you initially started to focus on in your business, whether it was, the beginning of the year or beginning of the quarter, whatever it is, do you look back and be like, well, I bombed that. I'm going to release it. I'm going to start fresh, new word, new goal, whatever. Or do you recommit, which is kind of what I did, and walk away from the things that you allowed to distract you? And I mean, personally, obviously I chose recommit. I'm just curious, as for you, what would you do?
Yeah, I think it's really circumstantial, right? Depending on where you're at, right? Because even 3 months ago, right at the beginning of the year, it looked different for me than it does right now, and I'm sure that in another 3 months, it's going to look very, very different. I'm probably going to have to reevaluate what my goals are. But I think the word of the year piece, if you've really thought about it, if it was intentional, you can always recommit to it at any point. I don't think that you need to completely throw it away.
I love that. I love that. See, guys, different, what did we say? Same brew, different cup.
That's right.
All right. So as we kind of lay on the plane with this episode today, and we are taking our last sips, I guess the thing that I encourage everyone to just reflect on is that when you are looking at something that you committed to and then immediately abandoned, accidentally or intentionally, whichever it is, kind of go back and just think about yourself. Did the original commitment bring peace and clarity to what I wanted to work on? Or did it create a pressure that you ran from? And that's why you allowed yourself to get so distracted. And I don't know what anyone else's word of the year is, but I would love to know if anybody else struggles with this. And Bernie, any other last parting thoughts that you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately at any point you can adjust your goals. You have to if you're a business owner, right? You have to look at what's going on regularly. And just like your networking and your business, if you're not constantly evaluating what's working and what's not working, you're probably not doing it right.
That's so true. So, guys, thanks for listening. Remember, keep showing up, keep moving forward because the caffeine is strong.
So are you.